Hey guys, welcome to my RPG Maker VX tutorial on mapping. In this tutorial we're going to cover the four main types of map styles, which are world maps, exterior maps, interior, and dungeons. And we'll be going in pretty good detail on each of the settings here in the map properties menu. I guess to start off we'll go through the map properties menu. The map name here, you more so just name it to anything you need to keep your maps on the left hand side here organized. So just for now we'll name this one starting scene because this is going to be where a player's starting. Display name is when you're in the game and you transfer from one map to the next, this is going to pop up in the top left corner, whatever you name it. We'll just call it start, just to show you what happens. I usually don't put a display name in my games, it just doesn't fit my games, but other games it might. It's all up to you. The tile set here, this is where this will change each tile you get access to on the left side here. We are not going to do a field map, that's the default one. We're going to go to exterior. This will give us tiles that'll, you can build a little forest here or a little cliffside, anything kind of, outdoors. It says exterior. The width and height, this is how many squares you get to work with, so 13 by 17. With the scroll type, if you were to select one of these loops, so we'll go vertical loop, if your character to walk to the very top or the very bottom, the map will just kind of scroll and replicate itself both up and down depending on which way you walk. Same with horizontal, but that'll work left to right. And the both loop, it'll obviously all four directions. We'll do a quick demonstration of that right now. I'm just going to quickly draw a little design here just to show the scrolling effect. So we'll hit play here. It's probably going to be a little loud. Oh no. So this is exactly what we see here on the map, or on our creation page there. So now if we start walking down, it just repeats over and over. Same with this way. This is actually might throw this on my world map just because once you get from one side to the next, I kind of want it to, you'll kind of want to appear on the other side of the map, not just hit a wall and say that's the edge of the world. But we'll see. We'll see what I think when I actually test it out. The specify battle back, this is the image that will appear in the background when you get into a battle in the game. Since we're kind of on an open field, we'll just choose some grass. And I don't know, clouds. That works for me. So yeah, that's going to be the image that appears when you get into a battle. The auto change background music, when you transfer from art into this map, the music of your choice will start playing. For now, we won't have any background music. And auto change background sounds, these will kind of set more of a tone for your map. Say if you have a river running through the map, you can just select river. And then this will continually play and just kind of give you a better feel for the map, especially obviously if you have a river going through your game. If you don't have a river, you might not want to select this. Everybody will be searching for the mysterious river. On the disabled dashing, you can run in the game if you select this characters won't be able to run. On the parallax background, what happens is if you select one of these, we'll just select the blue sky one, it's the first one there. Whenever you have the blank checkerboard transparent squares here, that background will appear when you're in game. So right now, to us, it's not going to show up in the main editor here. But once you jump into the game, it will change. We'll create a quick little scene for that. I'm just going to change it to exterior because we're not going to have an open field. These ladders here, by default, they are set so you can climb them in game. There are a way to change that, but we'll cover that in the database tutorial later on. And for this tile here, these are called auto tiles. When you place them down, they will automatically create a little border here because this is meant to be more of a cliffside tile. There are ways, so once you connected it, it cleared out the little border there, so now your character can get through. There are ways to override that. If you were to hold shift and place the tile, it'll get rid of the borders completely. Then it makes it just very square and it kind of looks goofy. The shift mapping is really good for when you're trying to create just one little spot for your character to walk through. So what you would do is hold shift, click on there, and then it's kind of squared off. It kind of looks silly, so what you do is right click on the tile beside it to copy the tile, and then just left mouse click. The same on the other side, and you'll notice the edge fills in a little bit more, and you're still able to walk across, and it's rounded off nice. So for this map, we'll actually put some background sounds in just to show you what happens. We'll put in some wind because we'll be at the top of a cliff here. I forgot one thing. I left the map looping on. We don't want that. And we'll also need an event to transfer from one map to the next. So what you do is you'd select the inventing mode, right click, quick event, transfer. What this does is you just select where you want your guy to move. So we'll just select him at the bottom of the next map on the ladder. And same thing to get back. Transfer, starting scene, top of the ladder. With the direction, this is which direction your character will face once he transfers from one map to the next. So if we wanted to, we could have him look to the right for some reason once he climbs down the ladder, but that make no sense unless you're trying to make a game that makes absolutely no sense. So we'll just have him retain his position and he'll be looking the exact same direction he does when he goes up or down the ladder. We'll quickly name this. Always want to keep your maps named so you know what's going on. We'll just name this one Mountaintop. And same thing here, just for the display name to make sense. So this is dashing. I'm holding down shift, that's the default key. So now the map isn't moving anymore because we disabled the loop. We'll just run up the ladder here. And that's when the parallax background shows up, is just like I said when you're in game. So completely checkerboarded here. And then here we have the blue sky. Another thing you can do, we'll just exit this, is since we did add the wind background sound, you'd think the clouds would be moving. So you actually have the option to do that with these loop buttons. It's like the same as the scroll type, but you can set the backgrounds to move at a set speed. So we'll have the clouds go from right to left. We'll just auto scroll 2. 2 is a good speed. It makes the background move pretty slow. Not if you have something as high as 10, the background will move quite fast. And we don't need the clouds moving up or down, so we'll keep that unchecked. But it does the same thing as the horizontal loop. If I were to put in -2, the background will move from left to right. But I think it looks better looking this way, or I think it looks better running from right to left. Go ahead, save our changes. Head up the ladder. And now the background's moving. And see in the top left there, we gave this map a display name of start. It appeared. Run up here, mountaintop, it appears. The show an editor button, I'm actually not sure what that is used for. Maybe I'll put a little annotation in the video once I figure it out, or just make another quick simple video if it requires a little more explanation than an annotation. The notes here, there are some scripts out there that allow you to use this section to modify the script or use the script in a different way. We don't have any scripts, but I will have another video showing you how to use scripts, maybe some recommended scripts that I use. But for now, if you and a friend may be working on the same game, you can use the spot to leave notes for each other to kind of give each other an idea of what you plan to do for the map. The encounters here, we'll go to our starting scene and edit that one. If you watched my basic video, you watched me color in these regions. So we have region 1, 2, and 3. You can do whatever you want. You got a region 61 here. You can have the whole thing region 61. It's all up to you. But for the encounters, this is how you set up which enemies you will run into depending on which spot of the map you're on. So we'll select the slimes here. Have them a weight of 10. That's just, the weight is how often compared to the other enemies you will run into them. So if you have a slime at 10 and then you wait, and if you make another encounter, the bats, and you wait them 7, you will actually encounter the bats way less than the slimes. If you have them within 1 or 2 points, they're generally quite close, but after you start going 3, 4, 5 points, the balance between the slime encounters and the bat encounters are going to be quite huge, and you'll feel like you're only running into slimes. So I'd only recommend changing the weight drastically if there's a odd, difficult enemy you want them to fight that drops good loot or something. That's just one idea. So we'll select the slimes here. If you select whole map under the range here, you'll run into slimes no matter where you are on this entire map. I generally use whole map for a field map or a world map. I generally use whole map on a small setting or I generally use whole map for a smaller map like a forest, a cave, a village. I don't know why I'd be encountering in a village, but whatever. Maybe it's getting attacked. Because you're not really going to have half the forest you encounter some hornets, and then the other half you're encountering spiders. I don't see why the diversity of creatures would be split in the middle of a forest, but you can, again, it's your game, do what you want. The specify region ID, you can set up to 3 different regions in which you encounter a certain enemy. For our demonstration, we'll just make it so we can only encounter the slimes in region 1. We'll quickly add another enemy here, the bats, same weight. We'll have them in region 2 or 3. We'll do 2 or 3. And then we'll have some hornets on the whole entire map. I'm just going to quickly go in the database here, and I already did that earlier. Just weakened them all so they're 1 hit, so this video doesn't take a while. Hit play. We'll go to our starting scene and edit that one. If you watched my basic video, you watched me color in these regions. So we have region 1, 2, and 3. You can do whatever you want. You got a region 61 here. You can have the whole thing region 61. It's all up to you. But for the encounters, this is how you set up which enemies you will run into depending on which spot of the map you're on. So we'll select the slimes here. We'll have them a weight of 10. That's just, the weight is how often compared to the other enemies you will run into them. So if you have a slime at 10 and then you wait, and if you make another encounter the bats and you wait them 7, you will actually encounter the bats way less than the slimes. If you have them within 1 or 2 points, they're generally quite close, but after you start going 3, 4, 5 points, the balance between the slime encounters and the bat encounters are going to be quite huge, and you'll feel like you're only running into slimes. So I'd only recommend changing the weight drastically if there's a odd, difficult enemy you want them to fight that drops good loot or something. That's just one idea. So we'll select the slimes here. If you select whole map under the range here, you'll run into slimes no matter where you are on this entire map. I generally use whole map for a smaller map like a forest, a cave, a village. I don't know why I'd be encountering in a village, but whatever, maybe it's getting attacked. Because you're not really going to have half the forest you encounter some hornets, and then the other half you're encountering spiders. I don't see why the diversity of creatures would be split in the middle of a forest, but you can, again, it's your game, do what you want. The specify region ID, you can set up to 3 different regions in which you encounter a certain enemy. For our demonstration, we'll just make it so we can only encounter the slimes in region 1. We'll quickly add another enemy here, the bats, same weight. We'll have them in region 2 or 3. We'll do 2 or 3. And then we'll have some hornets on the whole entire map. I'm just going to quickly go in the database here, and I already did that earlier. Just weakened them all so they're 1 hit, so this video doesn't take a while. Hit play. So we'll walk around here in region 1, run into a slime. Region 2, we should run into either the bats or the hornets. In this case, it's the hornets. We'll try one more time and try and run into the bats. We'll try for bats again. There we go. So we set hornets to the entire map, so we did run into them in region 2, and we set bats to region 2 or 3, so we ran into the bats in the region 2 as well as the hornets. So now we'll run in here where there's no specified region number, and we ran into the hornets again. So you see the regions work very well. They're not buggy in any way. Save your game, don't want to lose your level, or entire level 2. So to quickly recap, name keeps your maps organized, display name pops up in the top left corner, tileset chooses which tiles you have access to on the left here, width and height, size of your map, scroll type, will repeat the map up and down, left or right, depending on which loop you choose, battle backs, this is what we've seen when we were fighting the monsters, background music, gives your game music when you're playing, background sound, same thing, the dashing you can disable whether your character can run or not, parallax backgrounds, we showed you the blue sky in the other map, horizontal and vertical loops, showed you those, whether the background will move or not, gave the clouds a nice, gave them some personality I guess up there, you could say. Show an editor, we'll go over that some other time. Notes, used for scripts, leave notes for friends, and the encounters lets you set up which enemies will bump into on the map. Oh, and this thing here, totally forgot about this. This is how often you'll encounter enemies on the map as a whole. So say you're on a field map and the map's huge and there's going to be a lot of walking done there. You might want to set the average step to a higher number, like 50 or 60, because you're going to want your player to get from point A to point B in a decent amount of time instead of a battle every 2 steps. If you want to treat it like a Zubat cave, you type in 1 there, and yeah, every 2-3 steps, maybe 4 if they're lucky, they'll get into a battle. But the default's 30. It's not saying you'll take 30 steps and then get into a battle. Yeah, there's a different formula behind it, but generally 30's you've seen from when I was walking around earlier how often we were getting into battles. I'm gonna cheat here. I'm gonna load a sample map. The game comes in with a lot of pre-built maps. I'm not sure about the trial. The trial probably does, but it comes with a lot of maps. If you're new, you can load one of these up, kind of edit it to your taste, until you feel you're confident with making a good looking map, but there isn't much to it. We'll set up a field map here, a small one. We'll do field 3. We'll give it a field background music. Call that world map. You guys know what display name does, we won't be putting that in anymore. Tileset, field. We'll disable dashing. We don't need to be running across the map in a very short amount of time. You know what, here looks pretty good. So since we have our field map, we're going to want somewhere to go into our starting scene in our mountaintop. So what we'll do is we'll select this little windy road. You can actually place it on top of these little mountains. So now it looks like we have a road running up that mountain. We'll create an event. We will transfer to our starting scene. And always remember to go back into the scene you transferred to and create another transfer out. A lot of the times you'll be playtesting your game, you'll walk into one map, try and leave, and nowhere to go because you completely forgot to make another event to get out. It's going to make this really quick and choppy, so what we'll do is go like that. I know this section here isn't really explaining a whole lot about actually placing tiles down. I'm just quickly making some maps just to show you the map properties menu and the transfer between each map. So now that we have, I just quickly created this so you kind of know where your transfer event is. This way we're not just aimlessly walking on the bottom of the map to try and find it. So now that we have our mountain set up, we'll just quickly create a little village. This one will do. Oops. Click save here in case the computer crashes. You'll make sure you save often. I cannot stress this enough. I don't know how many times my fiance's lost her work because she just let it sit there and she just never saved. She'd do a lot of work, go out, get some food, come back, do a little more work. Computer shuts off, loses everything. I make sure to save, I don't know, every 2 minutes I'm clicking the save button on my game.